Everyone, it's Alma with the Cat's Pajamas, and today I want to show you how to create this cool seashell card using the triple stamping technique. We'll be using our doodled shell stamp set, our Beaches cut-ups die, and our shell cut-ups dies. First, start with 3 pieces of watercolor paper, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, 3 inches by 4 1/4, 2 1/8 by 3 1/4. Cut 2 pieces of cardstock 1/8 of an inch bigger than the middle and smallest watercolor paper. The base of the card will be a piece of 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of blue cardstock folded in half. Because it's a Beachy card, I'm going to use the Beaches die to cut a wavy bottom on the small and medium panels. And I want the mat behind it to mimic the shape. So here's the trick. Restickable glue stick. Simply attach the watercolor paper to the mat with the glue stick, centering it side to side, but having the 2 papers flush at the bottom. See how there's some excess at the top? That'll make up the mat at the bottom after we cut the cardstock. Now let's run it through the die cut machine. To make sure that the die doesn't move when I run it through, I'm using low tack artist tape. Now I'll just place the Beaches die at the bottom of the paper and secure it with tape. And run it through the die cut machine. Remove the die and the tape and unstick it, and see, now you have a perfect mat. Now let's do the other panel. The hardest part is figuring out where exactly I want those waves. See how pretty? And again, a perfect mat. Now that we have the panels cut, I'll stamp the sentiment from the doodled shell set on the small panel with VersaFine Deep Lagoon. It's a solvent-based ink, so I don't have to worry about when water hits it, the ink dissolving. Now I'll just hit it with my heat gun to make sure that the ink is dry. Now the triple stamping part. I'll layer up the panels and use the restickable glue stick to hold them together. I'm going to be using my MISTI for the stamping part, but you can use any stamp positioner, or you can eyeball it if you wish. I'll just lay the stamps in a pleasing pattern, making sure that they cover the edges of the panel. I'm going to be putting some die cuts in this area, so I'm not going to stamp there. I'll just close the cover, press it down, and the stamps stick to the cover. To give the shells a watery look, I'm painting the panels with water. And since VersaFine is a solvent-based ink, I can brush right over it. Now I'll ink up the shells with the dye ink. I'm using Marvy Caribbean Blue, and I'm going to ink the shells and stamp away. And I'm pressing really well so that I make sure that I get all the edges. This looks pretty good, nice and watery. To define the shells, I'll stamp over them with VersaFine Deep Lagoon. This looks pretty good, but I think I want more definition by the edges of the panels. Looks good. Now I think I want the shells to be even more watery, so I'm going to use my mini mister to spritz on more water. See how the dye ink spreads and the VersaFine ink keeps its shape. Looks good. Now I'll just dry everything with my heat gun and take the panels apart. I think the panels could use a bit more color, so I'm going to sponge on more Caribbean blue to the edges with my stylus. Now, because this card is kind of beachy, I think it will look really good distressed. So if you have one of those Tim Holtz distressing tools, you can use that. But I never seem to find mine when I need it. So I'm going to use a pair of kid scissors opened up and just scrape along the edges of the panels. Taking care not to cut myself. I like the shabby chic look. I'll use a nice heavy adhesive like this redline tape for the back of the watercolor paper, and it'll help flatten out the paper when I attach it to the mats. Now to make the small and middle panels pop, I'm going to add foam tape. Now a bit of twine wrapped around the middle panel, kind of haphazardly, adds to that beachy look. I'll just tie a little bow and turn it off. Now I'll just attach it to the big panel, and you can kind of see it's like a puzzle where I previously stamped. Now the smaller panel, filling in the blank, and I like the way this looks now. I'm going to add these die cuts because I just can't help myself. A little foam tape on the back of the starfish. And I want to make sure that you can kind of see the twine and the bow. And then for this conch shell, I'm going to use glue to attach it. Just slide it in. See how you can see the starfish underneath through the shell? I'll just add some pearls. To the panel. And yes, I could stop there, but that star is just begging to be filled. So I'm going to use some white dimensional paint to fill in the star and add some little dots to the interior of some of these letters. And I think I'm done. I think this card looks pretty good. I hope you give triple stamping a try. You can find the stamps and dies at the Cat's Pajamas. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great day!